I would like to, first of all, I'm very, very happy to see all of you. So today we have like SAPAC interns, people who have worked at SAPAC. We have two interns from Sindhi Foundation. I want to welcome them. I have my current interns, my team that is working with me. I think Michael is here. Jack is here. So we are going to do these like meaningful check-ins. I really wanted to do this meaningful check-in because I really want to know how are you doing? How are you feeling? And then what are some of the things that you care about, SAPAC and SAPAC's, work? Those kind of things I would like to know. So I would like to start from my current interns. So that way you will know what currently we are working on, few of the things. So Jack, you can start, please.
Hey, my name's Jack. I'm a senior, or gonna be a senior at UMass Lowell. I'm studying economics and finance, blah, 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 all that stuff. Right now I'm working on, so we're having a webinar on escalating religious persecution in Sindh. And Jamie Raskin, who's a member of the Congressional Singh Caucus, is gonna be our keynote speaker. So I'm like making a informational material sheet for him, and we're inviting a whole bunch of other speakers, and we're going to record it. And we're going to upload little bits to YouTube and Twitter and whatnot. So I feel like that's like big things that are going on for us right now. And then otherwise I post to the Twitter sometimes. I'll send out a mass email here and there. And just if Fati needs something written up, I'll write it up. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing.
And can you tell us what is inspiring you or motivating you these days?
I think what's inspired, like in terms of Sindh, it honestly feels like we're some of the only people, at least in the United States, who like really understand what's going on. So you feel like a kind of responsibility to like help these people. Otherwise, nobody's going to really even know that it's going on, let alone do something about it. So yeah, I just want to help people who aren't heard, I guess, in Sindh. And it's really crazy how the U.S. government like doesn't know, even though we have a relationship with Pakistan. Like, it just feels like you have an obligation once you know and you're in a position to help. So that's what I've been trying to do.
Thank you, Jack. Michael.
Hi, my name is Michael Kayal. I'm a rising senior at the College of New Jersey, right outside of Trenton, New Jersey. I'm a political science major and minoring in TC&J's pre-law minor, which is law, politics, and philosophy. Here at SAPAC, same with Jack, like it depends, it's 2 months, but the work depends on what needs to get done immediately. So currently we've really been working on the religious persecution and forced conversions seminar coming up, webinar. So I've been working on that. Mostly my research has been with the forced conversions of the young Sindhi girls, minorities who are either Hindu, Christian, Sikh. Not only are they being abducted, but then forcibly, well, first converted to Islam and then forcibly married to men who are either 20 or 30 years older than them. So I've really just been focusing on that. Being from New Jersey, I've been reaching out to my New Jersey congressional representatives, trying to schedule meetings, just really trying to spread awareness, and then also pushing for them to join the Congressional Singh Caucus, because I'd say that's our end goal for the advocacy campaign. What has been motivating me currently? I would say more so the fact that everything that's going on in the world. You look on Instagram and everyone's joking about how 2020 is almost like the end of the world because so many different things are going wrong. But what's really motivating me is like Jack said, the fact that we'll reach out to these members of Congress who are our elected officials and are supposed to be, you know, very knowledgeable of issues occurring, and the fact that these human rights issues occurring in Sindh, that the fact that people are being just abducted and taken away in the middle of the night. And we'll talk to these members of Congress or their staff members, and this is the first time they're hearing about it. So it really, it motivates me, because living in the US, I think there are so many issues, but the fact that we have, you know, the freedom of religion, freedom of expression, all of these freedoms, it really motivates me to work hard for people who are living in extreme poverty conditions, you know, children who are very malnourished, who really don't have a say, just working on behalf of them mostly.
Thank you, Michael. I would like to go to Billy now. Actually, Billy is I was talking to Billy one day and we came up with this idea, bringing all the interns together. So finally, everyone is here. So Billy, please honor us by, you know, giving your input.
And so I spent my last semester with Fati and Aya, who's also here, and another intern in DC. It was a super brilliant experience. I wanted to go right back. And so I just devoured like as many books as I could about, you know, Sindh, etc., and the UN reports, all this stuff. And I feel like it was really important for me to walk away with that more balanced knowledge of the world and that part of the world specifically. But I don't know, you put me on the spot. What else am I saying?
Thank you, Billy. And I would like to, Amber.
Hi, I'm Amber. I'm a rising senior at the College of New Jersey, the same one that Michael goes to. I'm currently a political science major with a criminology minor. And right now, for me, I am currently working on articles that have to do with the China-Pakistani economic corridor, which is basically $62 billion given, you know, to Pakistan. It's supposed to be building up infrastructure and just like giving it some type of economic stability. But when you actually go into depth and see how the plans have changed over time, it's not actually really sustainable for Pakistan. It's more beneficial for the Chinese government. So besides that, I'm also working on an article. I think many of you guys know, just branching off of like all the research that you have done on forced disappearances. So that's like what I'm currently working on right now. And yeah.
Thank you, Amber. Ethan, what part of SAPAC's work do you feel most strongly about?
Mostly, obviously, the military, how the military interacts with Sindhis, because that's what I kind of focused on quite a bit when I was at SAPAC, and that's kind of how my interests morphed into my current academic pursuits with the Egyptian military, and I still somewhat focus on the Pakistani military in graduate school. So it's obviously SAPAC influenced that shift.
And before going to part two, I don't know, I just wanted to tell you that now we have 13 members of Congressional Sindh Caucus. 0.5 million was approved last year for Sindhi language. And this year, it's almost, they are approving $2 million more for Sindhi programming. So, you know, some of the highlights that I wanted to share with you, other than raising voice, doing hearings and testifying in the hearings, and then, doing interventions at United Nations. That has been, a good experience for me as well. So by that, Michael, let's start the second round.
Looking back at your time at SAPAC, and with the knowledge that you now have, what do you think are the best and most beneficial ways to spread awareness of the human rights issues occurring in Sindh?
So I think, especially now that everybody's kind of stuck at home, utilizing social media for sure. So like maybe some more consistent hashtags across all platforms. So like for example, for the girls, you could have like a Save Sindhi Girls type of hashtag whenever you're referencing like some of the issues that are occurring over in Sindh. And so like once that recognition kind of starts to pile up, we can like boost it and probably even kind of piggyback off of some other hashtags to like increase traffic and stuff.
I also want to say, from a business standpoint, I would say one of the main things that you look at when you want to, for a better a better way of saying it, for things to go your way, would be to increase the community engagement. So any way that you can do that within the community, I know right now it's obviously, you can't really get together physically, but like we're doing here, like Zoom calls, if there's any reaching out to people that spreading awareness that way, getting them together like we're doing here with the interns and everything, but with the actual community, I think that would be very beneficial. And then of course, just showing that happened, like Simone said, on social media is very big right now. So that's just that's my main thing. From a business standpoint, you always want to increase the community engagement.
Yeah, I guess I'll just add on, that's not just a business standpoint, right? That's also just a movement and organizing standpoint. Get folks involved, get the main community involved, right? So Sindhi folks that are, across the country, right? Mobilizing them and then mobilizing folks that can be allies. And I think that a really great way to do that right now is social media, like what Simone was saying. I love that. And I think it's really important to have a consistent look, a consistent feel, right? Where hashtags are concerned, etc. I love that y'all are doing the seminars and the webinars. I think that's a really smart move to start putting out there what we all know internally and what we all share internally. And hopefully, right, with proper kind of sharing, with proper promotion, invitations, etc., that kind of platform can start to be something pretty big. We can gain some kind of following. I think that a lot of our opportunity is going to come from framing, right? And I like to kind of say that framing is everything in kind of this sense, because we need to frame this movement in such a way that folks from all backgrounds are going to be able to, in some way, identify with it. I think that a lot of people nowadays kind of see everything going on in the world and they're just like, okay, that's another thing, right? That's another thing, that's another thing. I think that's a terrible thing. But it's just the reality of our overstimulated world. Everyone's desensitized. So how can we kind of frame this movement into something that is directly affecting the core of what people are, right? And in some way relating it more to them. And so, just off the top of my head, maybe that's really focusing on, the familial aspect, right? Of how families are being torn apart, and that could really get to the heart of, a lot of folks across this country. Or if that's really stressing what was kind of the core when we started the conversation earlier today, right? The police brutality and the parallels between what's happening here, what's happening there, and really, emphasizing that in this moment. But I think framing will really matter in terms of how we get folks on board.
Yeah, and going off what everybody's saying with social media, one thing, so I worked, I was the vice president of like a journalism club on my campus, and we started up an Instagram last year. So we really were working on that. And one thing we found really beneficial is that I'm sure we all know, people don't really like to read on social media. They won't click on anything that's really long. And one thing that's gotten really popular lately are info cards, I guess you could call it, where you take an image and you just write the information on the image and you make it a bright color and you put consistent colors and pictures on it, and people are more likely to click it. And if it's really condensed, they'll read that. And then if they like that, then they'll read the captions. So that might be another good way to sort of draw people in. And if you make it consistent and you post on the same day every week or the same couple of days, people will start looking for it and they'll know that it's coming up on their feed and stuff like that.
I think another question that we need to ask ourselves in this vein, sorry, I don't want to take too much space, so I'll stop talking, but is how can we engage folks in a way that's more than just performative as well, right? Because social media is so important, and I think this is a great way to reach people, but how can we kind of stay in contact with those people, right? Or if they're just going to see one thing and engage with it, is there some, you know, aspect to it that's, you know, send this to your legislature, et cetera, with clear asks?
Yeah, I definitely see something that's also like, just like Sindhis for Black Lives, like just like kind of like outrightly kind of showing that there's a real allyship, and that there's a real connection. I think that, you know, you see it with other groups in the US that are marginalized, that are kind of finding common ground, which is structural racism. So you'll see like Muslims for Black Lives. I've seen Sikhs for Black Lives. I think Sindhis for Black Lives is a really good way to potentially engage the local community in the United States, and potentially even overseas as well. That would just be, you know, a quick suggestion. Maybe even just kind of starting that hashtag and, you know, keeping that as a consistent theme when we talk about anti-Blackness in the United States.
I think that's a really good idea, honestly, because I feel like even now, just with like the Black Lives Matter movement, a big thing is like you said, other you know, marginalized groups coming out in support of them. And something that I've seen like a little bit on social media is like what's currently going on with ICE and everything in this country, and how people are saying like just like it's just like we support each other, so like it should go both ways. Like Black people have, you know, come out in support of, you know, the, you know, ICE deportations and just, you know, keeping children in cages and everything like that. And then it's kind of like vice versa. You have, you know, Hispanics coming out for Black people, walking with them, staying in solidarity, them marching with them. And I see that with a lot of other marginalized groups as well. That was just like an example. So like, you know, just having someone like we can all, I think a lot of people can, like most people of color can relate to some type of marginalization or systemic racism in this country. And even like, you know, what other countries have been doing into their own countries, you know? So I think that's such a good idea. That's actually like, that's super smart. Like us, you know, sending out a tweet, even saying like, you know, Cindy or SAPAC for like Black Lives Matter, like that, I think that could honestly start making like a lot of waves.
I just want to add that, you know, this whole Black Lives and the whole involvement of, you know, police that hit really close to our home, you know, whether it's me and Sufi, and, you know, because we understand, you know, maybe we understand better because that's what we have seen. That's what we have been, you know, fighting, giving more powers to police and rangers and army. And then, you know, they have too much of power to even kill and, you know, injure, do whatever. And there isn't any kind of, you know, system where they, you know, if a normal human being commits a crime, they should be, you know, go through the same process of law. So that has not been happening for decades in Sindh. So yeah, and I and Sophie, we saw and we were outside, you know, White House, because we understand that pain. And that's what I realized that, and that's what I told, you know, Congressman Bresham also, that we have to make sure those things don't happen here at home, but then we have to make sure that the taxpayer dollar that is going to, you know, other countries, you know, these similar kind of brutalities, even more, that are happening in other countries. And then our money is playing a very, very important role. So, you know, we have to be very careful. It's not only us, we have a bigger responsibility. We have to make our home better, safer for everyone, especially minorities. And then at the same way, that's what we have to do with any of our allies.
I think that we could also look into writing articles in third-party places, just so that then that brings light to the issue to audiences that might not look at social media as much, such as like a more middle-aged generation. So I don't know where we could go, but there are definitely places that we could publish articles in, like, say, maybe like I know that GW has a graduate level publication that people could publish in. Doesn't matter if they're at GBW or not. I know there are other schools that have similar venues, and it's definitely something that brings attention, and it brings a little bit more of an academic flair to it, possibly, and brings light to the issues to academics that might have a larger audience in other venues.
A very important point. You know, media has been our biggest challenge, and I think this is a good opportunity, Ethan. That is a very great idea. My interns have written articles for The Hill or the Huffington Post, and then they don't get published. So I think it's a great idea. They have one more opportunity to send their articles.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely, I know a lot of like bigger schools have these more student-run publications that I know are actually like viewed by outside, like it's not just viewed by like student populations, it's viewed by other people, especially from the bigger schools like GW, Georgetown, American, those type of schools.
I had a thought while we were talking about this, maybe a less intense, but more social way of introducing people to the Sindhi people are like some of the movies that they have, because you were telling me that Sindhis make a lot of movies and they're like really influential, and even just introducing people to who Sindhis are in that kind of media might open up a conversation, and have like a movie night or whatever, and like have a discussion after, just to kind of, get people interested in, and it doesn't always have to be like some doom and gloom kind of a thing, but to like get people connected to the Sindhi way of life and the heritage and just what it means to be Sindhi might be a good opening for people to get involved and see what's happening, and participate and possibly care, because that's the thing. It's, you can look at all the social media you want, and people may or may not care, because they keep seeing the same thing over and over and over again. But by having a conversation and having an avenue where people can discuss and just really connect with each other might be another avenue to get people involved, and people interested in what's going on for the Sindhi people.
Any other input before we conclude our today's meeting? Sorry, we are going a little bit over time.
I guess I would say that, like, going off of what Christine had to say, it'd be very interesting, and it's something I've definitely thought about before, but like talking specifically about partition with some of the elders in the community who are still alive, because I think that generationally, kind of the older generation, so probably the people's like grandparents' age are the ones that like were probably adults living through the partition, so they really experienced the drastic change that came with being uprooted, whereas their children were, I think I'm speaking specifically of the Hindu community, of course, but there's of course engagement opportunities for other Sindhis as well, not just Hindus, about just kind of what partition was like for Sindhis, because there was just always this perspective that Sindh was like this very special and unique part of South Asia that kind of got torn apart. So I think that using film is a great idea, and just potentially even having something more informal of just like having people recount their experiences might be something that could bring awareness to, I think, larger issues as well, issues of colonialism, the issues of other things that have just so adversely affected Sindh. I think it might be interesting to do a film or something, or a documentary that SAPAC could be a part of if we could make it happen.
Karie, would you like to say something before I go to the conclusion?
Muted. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have just a couple of things to say. We could maybe recruit like volunteers. I know we have interns like every fall, summer, and spring, but we can maybe have volunteers from different like high schools in Washington, D.C., and especially like universities, because I know maybe some some high school students who would like to know more about SAPAC, and maybe they would be interested in like international studies, or like even college students could be interested in like international studies, and they could get more experience learning about like the South Asian culture, and especially Pakistan, volunteering with SAPAC. So that was just one idea I had.
Very good point, Karie. Thank you so much for your input. I want to take a few minutes to thank each and every one of you, because no matter how much I thank each and every one of you, I feel like it's not enough, because you have played the most important role. Whatever we have been able to accomplish today, interns, you know, the internship program has been the biggest part of SAPAC. So I want to thank you for taking out time today. I wanted to check in how you all are feeling in these, you know, crazy times. And in the end, I also wanted to tell you, because we are running a campaign. It's called Where Is. We started a few years ago with, you know, few people who went missing, and we ran this campaign, and you know, the authorities, the Pakistani you know, agencies, they let them, you know, be free and go because of, you know, the way we ran the campaign. So this time we are, I think some of you know the Akib Chandio, the young boy. He was 17 years old. He was abducted for like 16 months. He was tortured for 16 months. We had a big, huge campaign last year. And then because of the floor speech of Congressman Brett Sherman and a lot of other activities that we did here at National Press Club, he was free, but he was free, you know, hardly for, I would say, so from September to June. And then again on like, yeah, June, but July 7th, they came 4 a.m. They came and they abducted him again by, you know, hitting, actually torturing the wife and the sister. So we are running this Where Is Akib Chandio movement, and then before that we were running this Where Is Insaf Dayo, another young Sindhi boy who have been abducted by the Pakistani agencies. But just in the last few weeks, more than 50 Sindhi, you know, youth have been abducted. So these are like that has never happened before. You know, a lot of people in a very, like in few weeks have been abducted. So the easiest thing is, all you have to do is you have to just record a little clip, even if you need help, because we are doing it in Sindhi and also in English. So even I can send you the clip, and you can just practice a few times, and then you just, so it will be like hardly few seconds long video clip that we are, you know, everyone, you were talking about engaging the community. So all the, you know, elderly and the kids, people from Sindh, they are recording these videos. And yes, English is foreign to them, but then they are practicing and telling, you know, recording the message in English and also Sindhi. So that's what we are doing. I'm encouraging my interns and my friends to do the same thing. And it's becoming thousands. So far we have thousands of, you know, messages that we have put out there in the social media. So that is a small thing that I wanted to request if you want to do something. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. And I'm hoping to do these kind of, you know, meetings once in a while, where we can check in and, you know, learn from each other and improve the things here at SAPAC. So thank you. Have a good night. Stay healthy and safe. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.